what you think that I'm packing. To protect mine, I keep it on my lap and drive slow like the turtle, straight relaxing. Ain't no acting, we selling out caskets. 2 for 1, I shoot the one, ain't no scrapping. Got more money than the city that...
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Rick H. I'm with my brother, of course. Crazy Boogie couldn't make it. And today we are coming live. That was a little late in the building. Today we're coming live to you from DeX's studio, where he does his hand-painted pieces. My interview guest today is DeX.
That'd be me.
We're surrounded by some of his work. We're going to get to know him a little bit. He's going to let me get into his personal life a little bit. I have actually a few questions, though, before we even start. So, Luigi Cava wants to know, who was the best softball player in J. Hood Wright Park?
I was. Who else? Wait, what position, though?
No, I think he means just like in general. He also wants to know who was the worst. I was.
Nah, you weren't the worst. I know. And there was some other
Versace?
people. Versace got nice afterwards.
I mean, there was some characters.
Versace is this dude that, like the older Dominican dude, straight out. You know who he reminded me of?
Did he play with zapatos on?
Nah,
At first he did.
With the chancleta.
Chancletas.
Do you remember, every time I see the movie, it reminds me of him. Do you remember Shaft? The movie Shaft. So do you remember when they arrested Peoples?
Oh, de Matatán. Yeah.
Yo, I was like, that's
Versace.
Matatán. So if you've seen that movie, that Shaft movie, that guy that pulled up on the bike that I guess eventually he gets handled, that's exactly what Versace looked like. Except that he used to come with fake glasses to work. I mean, to
play softball.
So we ended up naming him
fake
Versace.
silk shirts too.
Yeah.
And some chancletas. So that was a question from... Thank you for your question, Luigi.
I wasn't the best. I wasn't the best softball player, but like the sponge ball player, nobody was getting a hit off of me.
I mean, it was an interesting situation in that park. We played softball in a park where it's concrete, and then in the back, in left field, there was 2 basketball courts.
And we used to get into fight with them.
If you hit a line drive and you hit one of those dudes,
yeah, we got into
problems.
Fights.
That's how I met Dex, by the way. And then a couple years later, I was making music. I used to be, Rick Dollars, Rick H, Picture Perfect Entertainment, 5-star performer music, Top Dollar, all that great shit. And I'm in the park, we're playing ball, and Dex is like, "Oh, I make beats, bro. Just come over to my crib one time." And I go to his crib, and I knew he was dope. I like drawing and shit. So I see some of his beats, but then he started playing. This is like when Fruity Loops and.
Well, yeah, I started with Fruity Loops.
Wait, how old were you back then?
Yo, we were like 16. 16? We was doing that.
Yeah, it was.
We were young.
It was a long time ago.
14, 15, around that time.
Damn.
Because when I started airbrushing, so I was like 15.
So he was doing music and art at that point in time.
Yeah.
And a couple years later, his sister was signed at Def Jam. And that's when I introduced him to Lou Wicks. Shout out to Lou Wicks, by the way.
Louis.
So that's why this is called Beats and Canvases. So this is Dex.
That's all right.
Your Dex, is that your name? Do you care to tell the audience your name?
Dex is not short for Dexter. Dex is not short for Dexter. It's short for dexterous. And quick story from where Dex comes from, like my friends used to call me Point Dexter in junior high school. I was probably the only kid in IS 218 that probably knew the librarian. She used to set out books for me. I used to like to read a lot. And, I was pretty good in school. I did pretty well in school. Like when we had tests, the teacher used to like sit me by myself because, my friends wanted to like copy from me or whatnot. But one of my boys started calling me Point Dexter, but on some teasing type of way. And I've always liked to look for, the positive thing into anything. So I started, when I was the brainiac that I was, then like I went to the dictionary to look up anything that was related to, to that word, and I found, dexterous. So Dex is short for dexterous. Yeah. Dexterous meaning someone who is able in many things, like ambidextrous, like you can use both hands. But dexterous, somebody that has dexterity, and somebody that has that is able, he or she who is able in many different things. And I'm like, hey, this applies to me perfectly because I felt like, I was into sports. I felt like I was a pretty good baseball player. Rick could tell you that. I was a pretty good baseball player. I played, I used to play instruments. I went to LaGuardia for art. And then I was making beats. I was, getting into rapping and all this other stuff. So I was doing a lot of things. So I felt like that fit perfectly with me.
Right.
And then I just wanted to short it to DeX because my favorite comic book artist, Joe Madureira, he used to sign his work Mad, M-A-D. And that's why, like, you see, like, in my work, like, you'll see the
DeX.
D-E-X and then, like, exclamation point. But DeX, capital D, lowercase e, capital X, exclamation point. If it's written any other way, it's not me.
So I fucked up when I was promoting this episode. I just wrote DeX, all capitals.
Yeah, that's not me.
That wasn't me. That wasn't me.
That's not me.
So talk to me about, first of all, you got a really diverse and dope family.
Thank
From
you.
your pops to your 2 sisters and your brother.
It's 3. I have 3 sisters. Yeah, there's
See?
3 of them.
Well, I only know of 2 of them.
Yeah.
So,
I got 3.
Talk to me about growing up because your family is very artistic. In like the other 3 are really heavy into music.
Right.
So what's it like growing up in that environment? Plus your dad, like he's a well-known manager in the music industry.
I mean, growing up in my house was more like it came from my father's doctrine. Like my father went to college in Russia. I was born in Russia. I was born in St. Petersburg.
Oh, wow.
It used to be Leningrad when I was born, and that was during the communist time. But my father, he saw the culture over there, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with like Russian and like Asian cultures. Usually, like here in America, we have like this thing where like we let kids kind of decide what they want to do, like give them more freedom.
Yeah.
And those cultures is like, nah. If you're born, when you're born with like a violin in your hand. They're gonna put a violin in your hand as soon as you're born, and that's what you're doing. There's like you're practicing 10 hours a day, or if you're gonna be a tennis player. That's why they have so many virtuosos, so many people like like all these gymnasts, like the best gymnasts in the world, and the best ice skaters, and best piano players. They're like Asians and Russians and like Europeans and whatnot because of the way that they that they do things. So my father saw that. He was over there for 7 years, and when I left at 8 months. That's why I don't remember much about Russia. When I was 8 months old, I left to DR, and then like I rejoined my family here when I was 8. We had a lot of my parents had a lot of Russian friends, and we used to visit their households. And I remember I used to see this lady playing piano, whatever. So I want to learn to play piano because that's what we do. Hey, I want to learn to play the piano. I want to do karate. So my father. The thing with my father is that he's always been very supportive. Even though my father is a scholar, he's a math teacher and everything, and he has like 5 degrees. And my mom has, she's the teacher too, has a bunch of degrees. They always looked at it this way, like instead of it being on some like you have to just focus on school and forget about all those other dreams, they actually supported our dreams. And even though we had the raw talent, like Karita has, she had the raw musical talent. The reason why she's as good as she is because my father invested not just time but money and support and a lot into our talents. And like it's like you can find a rough diamond, but a rough diamond doesn't look as pretty until it's like polished and cut, and that's what kind of brings the value into a diamond, and that's what my father did with us. He really supported our our artistic any artistic endeavor we wanted to dabble into. Like my father supported, like when I started airbrushing, came to my dad, hey dad, I want to airbrush because I want to learn to airbrush. Father went and bought me my airbrush, and then from there, I started making money on my own. Hey, Dad, I want to, when Karina got signed, the first thing we got, like, usually you would think, like, the first thing people go and get when they get some money is
a house or
a car or something. The first thing we got was a studio. The first thing my father did was invest money into a professional home studio. Like, we spent, like, $30,000 into, like, professional gear because this is what you
could own your craft. You'll have a space
right.
too.
So, And my father always put this, like he would always speak to us, and he would always like settle these doctrines into and like cement it into my head, especially me because I was the older one. I could never say it was illegal to say we were bored in my house. You couldn't say, like, my father made us. He mainly me, because I was, like I said, I was the older one. Like my siblings were a little bit younger, so they didn't really understand. But my father was tougher with me, and he would say, like, if ever I said, "Hey, I'm bored," we had like this like bookshelf with like probably over 3,000 books. I'm like, there's like 3,000 books there. You could go read. The piano's over there. I bought you a beat machine, right? Or you can draw, right?
Yeah.
Or you could go do something. Don't ever say in my household you're bored. Like the word boredom, it does not exist.
Yeah.
It does not exist. And to this day, to
Just
me,
like
like I cannot say I'm bored. I can say like I'm not in the mood to do anything right now, just chill. And even then, like I feel anxious if I'm not doing something. I always have to feel productive.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the main things my father, showed us, to always be. I never really saw my father watching TV like that. The only time my father watched TV is when he was about to go to sleep.
Yeah.
He'd watch like an hour of TV and then go to sleep. But my father's always reading the newspaper. Always, he was always a businessman, and that's kind of what we grew up in the house. So I'm gonna say, like, my father's not an artist, by the way. My father can't draw stick figure. My father
Yeah.
can't sing. My father cannot.
So where'd all this talent come from? Like,
Mainly
he's got kids that can
work.
do a lot of music, play the piano. He's got artists. Like, maybe was it
My
the
mom-
way he?
No, my mom's side, like, mainly on my mom's side, like the artists. On my father's side, there's some artists, but I feel like my dad and how like intelligent he is and how strong-willed he is, mixed with the talent from my mom's side together, I guess it made like a perfect blend. It's four of us from my dad and my mom. Like, it's myself, Brian, my brother, who's he does animation, he draws too. Then Oksana, she plays guitar, sings, draws also. Karina's the only one that doesn't draw. Karina can't even draw a stick figure. Karina couldn't even draw a stick figure for her life.
Wow.
And but her talent music wise is like insane. And I'm the one that can't sing. But then like I feel like I got like the better part of the talent as far as like art went.
Yeah.
So it was like two extremes between Karina and with music, myself with art, and then like my other siblings are just as good, but they have many things that they do themselves.
They're like blended. I felt like at the time when they were working on her album, you were the perfect, because you had ideas for days. Like, if you ever sat with DeX when he was doing music, well, you still are doing music.
Yeah,
But when we sat in his studio, it was like, oh, you know what? Which was the album? It's a Jay-Z album that just came out. It was Kingdom Come.
Yeah.
You heard every song on that album, and you were like, this song is not good because of this. This song is not good because of that. He should have did this. We could have did that. He could have did this. So I felt like you were a good person for her to have in her corner, because the ideas and then later on it transformed from with Chris, those Gambinos.
Yeah, right.
Well, we're not related. I get asked that a couple of times. With
But
Chris Hero.
It's dope that you say that, because that was my biggest pet peeve in the music business. This is what, and I feel like I hope that that eventually it comes back to that. Like back then, like A&Rs used to be people that actually were musicians, did music, of some sort, creative. They were creative people. A&R was a creative person, right? So which meant that they already themselves created music, so they understand the difference. But it got to a point where an A&R was just a businessman, and they would come to the studio, and they would tell the producer or the writer, "Hey guys, we need a hit record." And I hated that. I hate for anybody to just tell me, like now what I'm doing in my art, so somebody just tell me, "Hey, I just need a dope painting."
Yeah. Not knowing what a dope
Not know,
painting
like, okay,
or
what do you mean?
it
Oh,
is.
Or
when-
a direction, like, yo, I want to talk about this specific view. This is how I used to go into the studio with the guys. I would listen to the beat. Shout out to Fredo. We've always been Fredos. And I'll be like, yo, the beat is telling me this. We need to write about this. I will write the chorus. Then Wiggs would do his verse, everybody else would do their verse, and they would tie the song together.
Right.
I feel like that's what an A&R should be. It should be someone who has the ear and knows exactly, like, forget about making a hit record. Because if you go into a studio trying to make a hit record...
Yeah, a hit record is made by whoever is promoting it and marketing it. I can give you a great record, a great sounding record, a record with potential, a record with a catchy hook. That's what I'm going to give you. But then you as a company, you have to go and make it a hit record. The structure is what puts, wherever they place their money strategic wise, that's where it's gonna go. And it's dope that you say that I was a good person to have on Karina's corner, because I made a lot of relationships, because if anybody was in Karina's process, I was the one that traveled with her everywhere. I was the one that was in every studio session. I was the one that made the relationships with the writers and the producers, to the point where it helped out when I started really pursuing my music stuff, where I knew how to speak to a producer differently than other people. Like, this day and age, people don't want to pay producers, or people don't want to, or they want to treat producers like they're not really the core of the music making process, or they, an engineer is not worth nothing to some people. Oh, you come a dime a dozen. Like, no, I honed my ear to learn, because I dabbled into beat making. I learned how to pick a great producer with an industry sound, aside from somebody who's just like an amateur. I learned how to pick the best engineer for my sound. And the thing is that a lot of times, people, they listen to my music and they'll tell me, hey, who mixed your beats? And it's like, who mixed your music? And I'm like, I could tell you who mixed it, but the thing is that you're gonna be missing the most core ingredient of that, and it's me. Because my sound sounds that way because I sit through every single minute and hour of the mix. Right. And I'm pretty much guiding, because I was too lazy to sit down and learn every single plug-in and keep up with it while still, doing everything else I was doing. Yeah. I just know how I want my sound to be. Anybody that mixed my records will tell you, and I don't know if you ever got to see one of my sessions, they'll tell you I had the most organized sessions they've ever seen. Like, everything was named, everything was color coded, everything was like this is the verse, this is where the hook is, boom, boom, boom. And like, in Pro Tools, when you pull up your shortcuts on like the numbers pad side, like I had everything there too. Like, you press 1, boom, it'll take you straight to the verse, to the chorus. And because I didn't want anybody to mess up my stuff. Yeah. I'm like, that's why I love Kanye, because I'm kind of like almost like a control freak with my stuff, where I need to be part of everything. But I'm like a quarterback too, because I know who I need. Yeah. And I know that I can't do everything myself. That's one thing. I know I can't do everything myself, and that's why I always give credit to anyone that is really good at what they do. And I just feel like I know how to put together a great team for anything. Now when I'm getting ready to do my art show, like, I know who I need on my team to make that art show successful. Right. I know the relationships I need to make that art show successful. It's the same way when we sat down, and like I told you, that Kingdom Come album was one of Jay's poorest work. And it wasn't poor because of what he was speaking about. It was just, I felt like it was rushed, and I felt like it was just one of those joints that it didn't have a fluid sound that brought it together. Like, I feel like great albums always have a sound to it that from the beginning to the end, it makes sense.
I feel like Jay had did a couple records, and the label was so thirst for a Jay-Z record, they didn't give him like the appropriate. I don't know if he's always involved with his shit, but I feel like the label might have.
Nah, he was the president.
Wanted to put it out because they were like, he was the president at the point in time.
He knew what he was doing.
And they put out an album and invested so much money in it, but the work in the album, it wasn't his normal music.
He's on like 30 albums.
The thing with Jay for that album,
and this was after the Black album too, so it was like his comeback album.
He came in with no direction. Like, if you listen to, and I'm gonna tell you, like, some people would look at me like I'm wilding. Well, the Dynasty album, I don't like the Dynasty album. I think it had no direction. Yeah.
You know why? Because it got switched midway through doing the record. It was supposed to be a compilation album, and then he was like, you know what? This is gonna be my album.
Volume 3, Volume 2. Even though they're classic albums to us, no direction. Volume 2 was when Jay said, I'm going to go pop. And I know we getting on the Jay-Z thing, but it's because he brought up like how I like to dissect things.
Yeah.
He said, I'm going to go pop on this one, and that's when he saw, I did 5 million, I've been rapping like common sense. Before Blueprint, his first album was the album that had a glue, a sonic glue, and it had like, you know, from his photo shoot to the sound to the skits to everything was concrete.
Yeah.
It was about, you know, this mobster, black mobster thing, like Italian mobster, but really, you know, the black mobster scene. And every song and everything painted a picture of that lifestyle. And then when you go and look at the art on the shit, like it was just so rich.
Right.
And then Volume 1, all over the place. Volume 2, all over the place. Volume 3, all over the place. Then you get to Blueprint.
Blueprint, Black Album, and Reasonable Doubt are my 3 favorite. And I feel it's because...
What about American Gangster?
I really liked American Gangster, but the problem with that record to me is I feel like it's not a Jay-Z album.
You associate it to the movie too much?
Maybe the movie took some of like...
You know what he did with that album and why I loved it so much? Remember Kingdom Come? He was speaking what his life was about. Like Jay already was like 10, 12 years in, away from the hood. Right?
Yeah,
away
like,
from the hood. This is not his reality anymore.
Right.
You know, I don't go back there or whatever. That's not like I could stop by, buy ice cream for the kids. That's it. But that's not my reality no more. I'm so detached from this.
Yeah.
And he's starting to learn about, you know, I got to, the one thing is that I got to be around Jay. The day that he signed my sister, I was around Jay for like 12 hours, one day. The first day I met Jay-Z, I was with him for like a whole day. And I learned 2 things about him. One, he has, the same way that he says he has an incredible memory, believe that, man, he has an incredible memory. Because everything that was going on in that day, he remembered at the end of the day that I had told him something 12 hours before that I had to give him, and before he left, he turned around and he said, you have something to give me, right? I thought he had forgotten. I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I do. And another one is that he's a very, very, very educated dude. That guy, that whole time that he was with us, you know, being that, you know, he's in front of my sister, whatever, he didn't curse not one time. He didn't say nigga not one time. He didn't curse not one time out of his mouth. Like, he shut that out completely. And that's why he's where he's at, because he knows how to blend.
Right.
He knows that, like, if we're talking amongst boys, like us is like just boys, whatever, we curse our ass or say whatever so whatever's on our mind.
Right.
And if there's people that don't know how to turn that off. They could be at church and they don't know how to talk to the pastor, and you know, without cursing. The pastor say, "You're in the house of the Lord, please, you know, save that." And that's where a lot of people don't get to leave the hood because they don't know how to assimilate. And what Jay has done and he's shown, and he's still trying to, you know, even with the 444, he's trying to give you game now. Like, yo, I'm already 25 years detached from the hood. And I was still trying to push that hood stuff. Now I'm on some, I want my people to do better. That's my mission now. And that's like my mission too now. Like, I want my people to understand that there's other ways to get it. It's not, I remember back in the day where people used to get into drug dealing to rap, bro.
That's crazy.
You know people like that. We grew up in Washington Heights. We know plenty of people that started selling drugs.
I also know people who sell drugs just to buy
bottles,
clothes, and sneakers.
Mm-hmm.
If you selling drugs just for that, then you got an issue.
Back then, you needed the street cred. You couldn't just be a rapper. You needed also the streets to be behind you.
I know people that got shot. That, you know, jokingly, people tell me, "Yeah, you can become a rapper now because he got shot." Where does the talent factor go? Yeah. Where does the knowing how to make a song and structure go?
Right.
You know, and that's why we are where we at. And I'll tell you this much: I have this amazing theory of why music, especially hip hop, went to where it's at now. And I feel like, you know, Obama historically it was great for us, but culturally it was horrible. And I know I'm gonna get a lot of backlash for this, but let me explain. Obama culturally was bad for us. You know why? Because I feel like people of color have always found a way to to kind of express themselves, and the art always grows out of struggle, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So it came to a point where, remember,
We
back
broke
then
the glass ceiling. We got a president.
we got a black president.
Yeah.
This is what Tupac was talking about in '96. Like, we ain't
Yeah.
ready to see a black president. So we were thinking like that wasn't gonna happen in our lifetime, or that wasn't
Yeah.
gonna happen for like till we were old.
Right.
And then it happens, and then it becomes 1999 all of a sudden in the Matrix where niggas is doing that rave. So for 8 years we didn't question anything the government did because that's our nigga. That's it in office.
Right.
So even though he ordered the most drone attacks ever, or even though he had deported the most people ever, we never questioned it because that's our nigga up there. We don't.
Right.
We're not gonna question our nigga, man. Our nigga up there. So what happens? Music. You didn't hear any rapper talking about government, talking bad about the government, talking bad about being oppressed, whatever. Nah, the sky's the limit. So what did that make way for? For the Mali music and the lean music,
Right.
because now we are in a state of bliss and we are in a state of, like I go back to that Matrix scene of a rave orgy,
Yeah.
where all we want to hear is about drop downs, shake a low, whatever, boom, 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 and all this
Right.
other shit. And like, it made way for that type of music. That's why, if you notice, ever since Trump got on, what started happening? You have J. Cole becoming way more prominent. You
Yeah,
have
that's true.
more. You have This Is America taking best song and best record of the year this year
At the Grammys.
at the Grammys. You know, you have, or even though like you're still gonna have the fuckery going on in the music,
Right.
but now people really want more conscious stuff because now you have Gucci doing blackface
Not
sweaters.
just Gucci.
Yeah.
What's the other
Burberry
one?
did it.
Burberry.
Prada, Montclair, everybody's
Yeah.
it's an attack, bro. It's an attack going on, and now it's like now everybody wants to wake up again, and everybody wants to become activists again. And I don't feel like it needs to take a corrupt or a white man or whoever in power for the agenda to continue.
Right.
You know, and even though Obama historically was great for us, for the culture, it was horrible.
Right.
It was horrible. If you really research, how, I'm not saying Obama was a bad president, but I don't feel he did anything crazy.
He did. First of all, people forget how bad this country was when he took office, when he took it over from Bush.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
It was in a bad situation. He did the best he actually could,
Of course.
and the government, the other branches of government weren't on his side, so he had to strong arm
Of course.
a couple of things to get through. But there's a lot of merit to what you're saying, because I felt for the last 5-6 years, I was not impressed with any of the music that was coming out from hip hop. There's only specific artists that if something came out, I would listen to.
He removed, yeah.
And then it was just an abundance of everybody fell in love with the South, and that South movement and the lean movement.
Yeah, well, the South movement happened a while
That
ago.
was
It happened a while ago, but it was the genesis
of
to where we are now.
Yeah.
So, I think that artists
So
are
actually,
dying.
to tell you, sorry to cut you off, but, and this was brought to my attention the other day, like the trap sound that we know now, because remember, trap music, Reasonable Doubt, if you really want to, it's a trap album.
Yeah.
Because he's talking about drugs.
Yeah.
Selling drugs. That's what trap is. This is the term for it in the South. Like when T.I. made trap music, is just him talking about the experiences of dope dealing in the South,
Yeah.
which is different in the city. These dudes out there, they got, it's a different way of how they hustle down there than how they
Right.
hustle in New York and how they hustle in the inner cities, right? But now it's become a sound, which really that sound comes from what I'm telling you, from house music.
Yeah.
It's house music. The trap records with those drops and all that stuff, it's house music. It's a blend of the 808s with the house music
Okay.
that they were doing, and that's like one of the first dudes to start doing that sound was like A$AP Rocky that started making it fire, and then like when Kanye came and grabbed Travis Scott's sound. Remember that the Yeezus album? That was Travis's sound. Travis and Wonder Girl that were doing those beats. And Kanye's always been a visionary. Like everybody trashed that album, but it was really that album really
I thought
made
it was a dope album.
It was an amazing album, and it opened up the door for all the sounds that you hear now. The Trippie Reds, the the dudes that are doing kind of grunge
Little
trap
Yachty
music.
and all those. I don't listen to any of those. The thing is, I feel like the artist is dead. Like Kanye will do. We're gonna go back to Kanye. Kanye would do 808s and Heartbreaks, but then the next album would be nothing like that album. And I feel like what is happening now is kids are going into the studio because they're kids, and they're just recording
Whatever
records,
the hell they want.
whatever's there.
Yeah.
Now, like I'm bringing up Bad Bunny right now. Bad Bunny, like he does trap music, the Spanish version or whatever.
The Spanish version
But-
of Travis Scott.
Yeah, but he does different, he does different records. Like it's not just.
No, listen to Bad Bunny and then just close your eyes and then just imagine Travis Scott. He does a Spanish Travis Scott.
But
sound.
he's an art. Like Travis Scott is also rare. One of the one I listen to him
Right.
out of all the young ones. I just feel like they forgot how to make records and
Oh.
music.
I feel like they don't really have a lot of these guys. They don't have a story to tell. They don't have a story. in
I'm
their
pretty
music.
sure they do.
They
It's
got a
just
story,
the
they
people
just don't know how
around
to do
them.
it.
They don't
Yeah,
know-
the
well,
people
they
around
don't
them
know
don't
how to.
encourage them. Like, yo, open up. Like, make yourself vulnerable. You're at your best when you're vulnerable.
I don't think it's really about the story. It's more about knowing how to put it together.
Yeah.
Like you see, like Jay-Z is such a great rapper that a lot of the stuff, some of the raps that he has is like his boy story, and then he says it from it. He just knows how to talk fly.
Yeah.
A lot of these kids now, what is happening is like their mentality is more like, let's do some dumb shit, go viral, and then we can just do music after that.
Yeah.
That's where it's at. Like, and then just talk about, my Gucci hitting, my piece, my ice is dripping, and all this other stuff with a dope beat and a nice little melody. When you're in the club drinking, you're not, all you want to do is listen to what sounds nice and that you can repeat back real easily and you can remember.
That's true.
You're not sitting in the club listening. You don't hear J. Cole in the club.
You're not. It's not like a album you would listen to like when you're driving your car.
Yeah.
Or when you're deep in thought.
No, but people listen to it when they're on their way to the club.
They do listen to on the way to the
gotta
club,
hype
but
yourself up.
I mean like those long drives. Like
You gotta
I
hype
remember that's how I used to judge a record. Like if I could put it in my car and drive around the city and bump it and listen to it, and I could go from the top to the bottom and know all the songs, not just like I've been on the club. Because when you're driving, people like I tend to lose. I'm gonna get flack for this shit, but I think about mad shit just like when I'm on the toilet, and I just go through this process, and like
Me is the shower.
what
When
the
I'm in the shower, yeah. That's where I think
it's
shower or
the
the
toilet
treadmill.
for me.
You blast the music there.
No, a lot of verses have come to me, showering, or when I'm in, if I'm actively in the gym, if I'm on the treadmill or something, like while I'm exercising, like a lot of thoughts come from that. But let's talk about this art too, man.
Yo,
so
we
all
could talk about music forever.
We went all the way
Yeah.
into music. So you did music. You did music with Chris. You did Mentirosa. You did a bunch of, which I liked because you weren't just like, you were one of the first dudes to be like, yo, it's cool to rap in Spanish. Like it's cool to do these type of records too. And then you started doing your painting. How'd you go from? Because that's a big gap. Like when you was in Apartment 78 doing all the stuff with the music you were doing with Chris, to evolving into.
Do you think your music like helped you with your art?
No.
Like it didn't inspire you at all? It's
Nah,
like two different.
It's two
separate-
different. Like Dex doing music versus Dex doing art is like two completely different things. I got into art out of necessity. Back into my art out of necessity.
Right.
It was more like, I had a kid and I needed to make some extra money. Even though like when I had like the Cámara Lenta record popping, like I was getting booked here and there, then that shit started slowing down a little. It's like, all of a sudden I found myself, I'm having a child. I have to get my own place. I'm having to have to change my car to a more expensive car because I did something. I made a bad financial decision, and then it's like baby shower, and then it's Pampers and milk, and it's like, oh man. So I remember just taking it like, I just need to make an extra little bit of money on the side. Art has always, from when Rick met me, like I used to airbrush back then, and like I've always been able to make some money off the art. So I went back to the art, and now we have Instagram. So when I started seeing the response that I got to the art versus like it's a little more difficult to get a response of music because so many people are doing music. It's so oversaturated. Like when I go right now and I tell somebody, hey, I do music, it's like, you too?
Yeah.
Kind of like it's almost like, and you can't blame people because people get bombarded most of the time. When somebody tells you they do music, it's a higher percentage that the music is bad than it's good.
Good, yeah.
A higher percentage most of the time, and I'm telling you
And
that
they
from
still want to
experience.
play it for you.
Mhm.
You gotta be like, yo.
And I'm
it's
telling
cool.
you that from experience, like from going to the showcases and all that stuff. Most of the time, it's bad.
Yeah.
So people are already predisposed and programmed to whenever you say I rap, especially if you say you rap, because
Right.
if you say you sing, yo, sing something for me right now, and then I gotta be able to tell if you but
Yeah.
no, I rap. It's like, damn, I'm gonna have to listen to this. So automatically, it's like, I don't think it's good. But with art, when I tell people like, I paint, I don't get that response right away from people. Like it's like, oh, okay, let me see something.
Right.
And then when they see the stuff that I show them, then it's like, oh my god, this is a not to toot my own horn. I'm just saying what the reaction I get from some people because of the portraits that I do.
Right.
Oh my god, this is great. I love it. Whatever, blah, 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 and how much do you charge and all this other stuff, So it gets better received. So when I started seeing that, one thing that I learned is that Instagram is everything right now. As far as like all businesses, everybody is transitioning to the Instagram hustle.
Right.
It's
Because it feeds into the others. It feeds into
It
your
feeds
Twitter,
into everything
feeds
else.
into your Facebook.
there's people making millions of dollars of having a lot of Instagram followers and doing business. So I said, you know what? Let me concentrate on this art right now and get my following up and whatnot, and then come back and slowly start introducing people back to my music and stuff like
Right.
that. But it's been 2 years since I put anything out,
Right.
since I really recorded anything, because like I have this momentum going with the art, and it's I was able to quit my job last year, which is a goal I had since I started that job. The first day I started, I was already planning on when I was quitting. And that's just
You
that's,
only do 2 days, when you go in and when you come out.
and I spent I was like, yeah, I'm only gonna do this for a couple of months, and I spent 6 years. So it was a couple of months turned into 6 years. I became complacent. I became too comfortable with it, and I feel like one of my biggest blessings, professionally and personally, was like having my daughter. She put me in a completely different mindset.
Right.
Where I had to provide. Where it's like, oh, it's okay if I don't eat today, but you can't have your kid not
Yeah.
eat. You feel me?
Right.
Like now you got to take care of somebody else. So now it's like, no, I gotta.
You're no longer the priority.
Exactly. Like I can't. Like you can't. Sometimes we wake up and you're like, you don't. It don't matter if you don't eat till a certain time.
Right.
When you wake up, you better have that milk ready for the baby, or she's
Yeah.
gonna be crying. So it's a different mentality, and it was the biggest blessing ever. And now I'm just at a point where I want to evolve out of just what I'm doing. Like I feel very blessed that daily so many people reach out to me, trying just for inquiring my prices and ordering, and like I can tell you, like I can have up to 20 something, 30 something orders at a time.
Right.
And making great money. But now I'm already gotten to the point where like I want to become a little bit more exclusive when it comes to the art.
Right.
Like I want to be able to say, hey, I'm not going to do anything for anybody right now. I just want to sit down and just work on being, because this is like I can say this is me being creative here.
Right.
Right? Like I felt loose because this is just something that I did
Yeah.
because everybody knows Marc Anthony is gonna get me good reaction on the internet or whatnot. And I just, I started mixing colors and I started doing stuff. So this is me getting creative. The TI, this is me getting creative. But when I'm just doing something as a commission, it's like I'm really just, if you want to
Feels like
picture
work.
just you two,
Right.
and it's not that it feels like work, it becomes repetitive. Because I'm just drawing, I'm just painting faces.
Right.
I can't really get creative with it because then I'm screwing myself, because if I start getting creative, I can't spend a whole week on one commission. Then I'm
Right.
not going to, unless I already start charging where I want to be, where it's like I want to start charging $10,000 for a piece where I could spend a month on one and not really hurt my income. But now I have to, like, my production rate is too high, and in the art realm, it's not good. It's not when you're too like, especially with what I'm learning now with like collectors, when you produce too much,
it devalues
it devalues you because there's too many of you out there, too many pieces out there.
Right.
You know, but when you can sell, let's say if you do just 10 pieces in a year, and each one of those pieces you sell like, God willing, one day, $30,000 a piece.
Right.
Now it's only 10 pieces every year that come out. But guess what? Like you see, like this Ti, man. Like I started this in December. And look where I'm up to it with it.
Right.
You feel me? Like I made it an installation. You have 3 canvases going, and there's still more work to be done.
Right.
So I fall in love with the process of this. Other than like I have a deadline. There's no deadline for this.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure it's gonna get to his hands, and I'm sure that he's gonna love it. But I feel like free doing this because I could keep like I have it up because I walk in here and I look at it, and my ideas change. I originally had a different idea for it. Now my ideas are changing.
So throughout the process, your ideas just keep switching.
Of course.
You want to add more things.
Definitely. Like I want to do different things to it. Yeah. But if it's a commission like that I have to do for Valentine's Day, per se, I have a deadline.
Yeah. And it's not something that is coming out of your creativity. It's something that
it's there. It's a picture.
Like a base. It's a picture, which is nice. But it's like, for example, this piece right here. This is what I love about it. It looks like if the sun is catching the lens. So the detailing, even like on his tattoos and everything, this is something that you were like, shit, while you're working on it, it hits you like, oh shit, maybe I should like do this piece or this will be dope. And even now, like I look at this, like T.I.'s, like his mustache and his beard, and then there's like these little shading pieces. What I wanted to ask you is, what do you feel is like your signature? Every artist has like a signature.
I can't really sit here now and tell you that I have a signature because there's plenty of people that work with this style, but like how we were talking about Picasso earlier, like Picasso, when he started, he was painting realistic, and everybody was doing the same realistic thing. Right. And it took Picasso till he was like 70 something years. The Picasso that we know and love now, even though people need to know this, like Picasso wasn't broke while he was alive. He was rich. Right. Like, most artists are rich while they're alive because just the material and the stuff is expensive. So, Picasso was rich while he was alive. He was a very well-known man. He was probably like a Kanye West type of figure in the world where, he was celebrated. He was a celebrity. There are very few artists, if you go back and look at their stories, very few artists that were poor. Right. Like Van Gogh, was it that cut his ear, right?
Van Gogh
was poor.
As well as they all used to live in I was telling you the story. I went to Paris recently. Van Gogh was poor. Basquiat was poor when he lived.
Basquiat.
No, he didn't.
He started out
Basquiat
as
was
a
rich.
very poor man.
No, he didn't.
And then afterwards, he got rich.
You know that Basquiat's dad was Basquiat liked, because he was a bass head. He used to, he used to freaking, he was a junkie. His father was a mid society. His father was a lawyer or something like that. He comes from a family with money. He's just a dude that was like, he's on the spectrum, and he just, he liked to live this life of kind of like a hippie. Yeah. But while Basquiat was alive, like his best friend was Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol was a freaking millionaire. Yeah. And then Basquiat was selling pieces for tens of thousands of dollars while he was alive. Right. I don't know if you saw the movie of Basquiat.
I did, with Jeffrey Wright.
Yeah, I love that movie where he's like in the supermarket, in the fish market, and he tells, he goes like, yo, what's that he just bought? Oh, it's caviar. He goes like, okay, let me ask, how much is that? He was like, it's $2,000. And then he looks at Andy Warhol and he goes like, hey Andy, can you let me $2,000? Like, think about that just that whole scene, and that right there should tell you how Basquiat looked at money. Like, money wasn't an issue to him. He had bread. Like most artists, people get, and that's one thing that I had confused myself. That's why I said I don't want to be an artist, because artists are usually struggling and broke and they don't make money.
And they're not appreciated till they're gone.
That's how they make money when they no, but artists, they make, like, now that I'm really going into it and learning contemporary artists, there's dudes out here, man, that, like, if I work hard enough, man, I could have a piece like this being sold at 10 racks, man. Think about it. Like, even though it takes its time, but think about how many people can do that, can say like, yo, and something that I made in a week. Sometimes some people make something in 15 minutes and they're selling it. Alec Monopoly is selling pieces for $80,000, $100,000.
Right.
And these are pieces that he does in an hour because he uses spray paint mainly, but because of his name. It's the same thing with Basquiat during this time. Because of his name, he was popular,
Right.
and the collectors knew who he was. He was a rich man while he was alive. Leonardo, Raphael, Michelangelo, these guys were upper middle class. Think about it. Raphael painted the Sistine Chapel. Michelangelo, I'm bugging. Raphael painted the School of Athens.
Yeah.
Michelangelo painted the Sistine Chapel. First
He
of all,
wasn't even a painter. He was a sculptor.
4 years took him to paint. So do you think that for those 4 years this guy was hungry?
Yeah.
This was commissioned by the richest people in the country, which was the Vatican.
The Vatican.
You feel me? So this guy was rich. They paid him a lot of money. He lived in a mansion and all this. These guys were rich, bro. And they, not only were they rich, but they were celebrities. This is your equal, like the people that, the painters of that time were what your rappers are now, or your Kim Kardashians, or they were celebrities. Not even Kim Kardashian, because she'll be more of like what a Duke is, or you know, high society, just rich people. But anybody that's a celebrity now that's celebrated for their talent, that's who these people were. And they were very
and
rich.
they knew they would eventually, because when I went to Paris, I did a tour in Montreal. I forgot how you say the freaking town's name. There's the first. It was like the first. How do you call it? It's like a whorehouse. It's not a bordello. I forgot the name of the place.
Justin.
It's the first. What's it called? Oh, well, I gotta look it up. It'll come to me. It's the first like house where you go like to interact with women, and like it was bare, the walls. So Picasso goes to the owner like, yo, you should let me paint something for you. And he's like, all right, because he had a steady girl he would visit. So he did this painting for the dude. The dude had it up on the wall. And
is that the one with the
he went broke.
The prostitutes?
Yes.
Now
So that piece, I forgot where it is, but I saw the house. I have a picture in front of it. So the guy was having financial problems, and he sold the piece. And when Picasso came in, he came back to see his chick. He was like, "Where's that piece I did for you?" And he's like, "Oh, I had to sell it, and I sold it for X amount of dollars." And he's like, "That was the worst move you could have done, because that piece would have kept your whole family rich for the rest of your life." So he knew how important he would end up being.
Yeah.
Yeah. La Donna, or something like that it was called, but I know exactly which piece you're talking about, and it's like
Cabaret. Is it a cabaret? I think I forgot what it
no,
was.
not a cat. They use the
It's
word all the
another
time
word.
in Game of Thrones. They use it all the time.
Yeah.
Well, it's with a B. Brothels.
Brothel. Yes.
Ah, it was right there.
Yo, but it gets me upset when I know something and I don't remember it. So brothel, yeah.
Yeah, it's the brothel. He was.
I just think it is dope. First of all, I like visiting. I'm not an artist by any means. I don't know anything about art.
Yeah, I can't draw for shit.
I've seen the Mona Lisa. I was not impressed. It's just
You weren't impressed by the Mona Lisa. Why not?
I was not impressed. It's
Why
a
not?
very small painting.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess part of it is because people give it like this. Oh my God! You know when I would have been impressed by the Mona
You
Lisa?
thought it
When
was overhyped.
It was overhyped, but the problem is I don't appreciate the technique that he did in that painting because it was the first of its kind. But when I saw it, I was like, oh, you know, I saw
It's
better
okay.
pieces in the Louvre.
I mean, you saw better pieces because you saw like these pieces that were like 20 feet tall,
Right.
and like.
Well, there were
took
some
years
other
to do.
ones, yeah, but like I just feel like
Here's the thing with why the Mona Lisa is so it's if you look at my paintings right now, you're gonna notice something like very few people notice it. Like anywhere you stand in this room, anywhere you look at the pieces from, they're looking at you.
got you, yeah. Kind of like
They're-
T.I. in the video earlier.
it's in the eye. Like you look at them
Yeah.
over there, they're always. And it doesn't matter where you go in this room, you're gonna look. They're gonna look at you in the eyes.
Right.
And you know, few people have picked that up about my stuff, where it's like, you're really good with eyes.
Right.
And I feel like it's not something that I intended. It's just something that comes natural to me to do,
Right.
where everything is right here, is in the eyes. Like the detail is always in the eyes, and I always select the pictures that are going to depict that the most.
Yeah,
the
because
best.
you feel like a certain connection when you're talking to somebody. And
So Mona Lisa, I'm pretty sure you walked around and the whole time she's looking at you, and you
she
don't know
was.
what the heck she's thinking.
Yeah.
And the thing with that is that also at that point in time, that technique that he used was fairly new. Like he's a master
Yeah.
at that shit. Like there's so many layers that go into, you know. I wish I had the Ozuna piece here because none of those pictures did. When I do flesh tones and stuff like that,
Yeah.
if there's a blue light hitting over here, like I'm blending the blue light, you're gonna see it in the like perfectly blended into the skin tone and whatnot, and like the different, like if I did a brown over here, it's not gonna be the same brown on this side of the face. But because I don't have time right now, I can't sit down and for 5 days straight and work on one piece right now. And that's where my struggles are at. Like where I'm gonna be
It's
on
finding
some,
that balance where you are making money off art, but you're also creating.
my number one priority is to take care of my bills at home. That's my number one priority. That's what, you know, to keep the lights on at home and to not worry about that. So once I feel like, a lot of people always ask me, when are we going to get original DeX pieces, like from DeX's mind, what DeX is thinking of, like when I'm financially stable where I can say I don't need to work on anybody's personal pieces, just what I want to put out. What comes from my mind. It's a lot.
Similar to when a writer, like when they're gonna write a book or a movie, they lock themselves up for. You said 4 months is around that time frame.
But they get, remember, they a publisher gives them an
money.
advance,
Yeah.
You know, which, hey, I might go and like, because I know, man, that my show is gonna be successful, and I know that I'm going, like, I might go and find someone to just like invest some bread. It doesn't have to be nothing crazy.
Right.
Invest some bread or take out a loan or something, but I'm gonna have to bet on myself at some point, because right now, like I told you earlier, I came in with a mentality. I'm so tired of, and this is nobody in specific, I'm just so tired of answering questions. Just so tired of the
Getting
monotony.
hit up
You know,
late
I love that people are, you know, after my work, but I really want to just get to that next level, that next exclusivity level. I want to get to the point where I paint something randomly and I make limited prints of it, where like I'm making 100 prints, right? Limited 100 prints that are signed by me, and they sell out in a day.
Would you do prints now of these pieces?
No, these are I'm gonna do specific things that I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a print, and it's gonna be just 100 prints, or it's just gonna be 50 prints, or it's gonna be, you know, and then have a website, and then like have that selling, and then have that be like a consistent income of money, where at the same time I sit over here with this huge canvas that every time I look at it, I see the painting that I'm doing on it. Every time I look at this, I see the painting on it. I don't even know how to explain it. Every time I look at the canvas, because I already know exactly what's going on here, how it's gonna go on here, and then from there I let the inspiration take over. But every time I look at it, I know exactly what's going on here. Every time I look at this one in the back, I know exactly what's going on there. You know, but it's the time. Like where I wish that I had that. You know, I don't know if you ever watched Dragon Ball Z, where I wish I had the hyperbolic time chamber, where these guys go in, and in an hour they really spend a year. You know, and I could come out of there with like 50 paintings, and it's like, yes, let's go. You know, because one of my goals is to do an art show now in the summer. You know, I'm moving. I wanted to do it in May. Now, I'm realistically speaking, to not kill myself, I want to do it by like August.
Would you stop taking custom orders at a certain point just to
when I feel financially stable enough where all my bills are paid? You know, where I feel like I could pay all my bills for the next 3 months. Like,
so I'm on IG and I'm DMing you, yo Dex, I need this dope ass piece of me and my stepson. He means the world to me. I'm gonna send you the photo. Ideally, I understand how an artist works. You pay a deposit, you guys come to a certain agreement, and then you give them time to work. Where are you with the people who are, like you mentioned Amazon? Because we live in a day and age where people want things now, they want things done. Hence why we can order food off our phone now,
Mhm.
and it's delivered to your house in 40 minutes.
Right.
What do you say to people that are like, "Yo, Dex, I need pictures of my son's toes. I need you to, I need you to paint them."
I'm not painting anything. I don't feel like I could. Like I had someone come and tell me that they wanted a San Miguel piece, and it's like the classic San Miguel slaying the devil
Yeah.
like painting, and they wanted that redone, and I'm like, I don't redo other people's
Right.
Work.
paintings. I don't do that. Like
You were also saying that you don't remake one picture twice.
Like there will never be another Marc Anthony piece.
like this, no, not
Yeah.
from this picture, not with these colors. No, you're not. I'm not going to like.
Well, not this same.
When this came up,
Yeah.
there was so
Yeah.
many people. I'm gonna say about 15 people hit me up in a matter of an hour or two, asking me
That they wanted
first
to
if
buy
this
it.
one was for sale, and if not, if I could redo it. And I said it's not happening.
Right.
And you see, that's where I mean where I want to get to the point where it's like I want to do some dope stuff that comes from my mind that 50 people see it and they want, but then it's available to them via print. Where
Right.
this is made specifically for print, and then like I can say I'm doing 50 and I sell out.
Right.
And let's say I put it for $150, that is pretty affordable
Right.
if you really think about it. And you sell steadily every week, at least 20 of those, you're looking at some good income.
Right.
Where it's gonna get to the point where I'm going to be able to work on my exclusivity.
Right.
Where even now, like I feel so thankful, and I'm gonna tell you guys what my biggest accomplishment from art has been. And I mainly because most of the people that I've gotten love from are from the Latin market.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
my brother Jay Ramirez, I'm gonna say that he is truly the person that ignited my social media presence with art.
Right.
I'm always going to big him up on that. Jay is like, he was like the guy that gave me that first stepping stone, like boom, gave me the presence. I remember I did that. I'm gonna tell you the story real quick how that happened, and see how the devil is a liar. That day that I was booked in to do like one of my last performances that I did when Cámara Lenta was still hot in Worcester. It's spelled, that city that's spelled Worcester,
Yeah.
but it's really Worcester.
Yeah.
It was a storm that day. So I was there with Jay Ramirez, and I said, you know what, let me do a painting with Jay Ramirez of his daughter, and it was this beautiful picture of his daughter. He had hit me up before asking me how much it was, whatever. I told him how much, boom, boom. But I'm like, you know what? Let me just do the picture for the dude, like, off the strength. And, like, I planned it out, like, him giving me a shout out on Instagram. That'll give me, like, good following. And whatever I would have charged him for that, I'd probably make it triple. And people, like, I planned it right
Just
away. I
on
saw
word
it
of mouth, yeah.
on the vision, And because he had a good following. So that day, I remember I started that painting the day that I was gonna go up and do the performance that he was at too was a Saturday. I started that painting on that Friday. I didn't sleep. So I was supposed to leave that Saturday night. It was a huge snowstorm, and I had people from Boston calling me, my compadre, telling me, compadre, dude, like it's really bad up here. Do not drive out, whatever. And people telling me not to drive out. So I'm calling the promoter, and the promoter's like, "Nah, we still good to go tonight." So usually to get to Worcester is about 3.5 hours. It took us 5 hours to get out to Worcester. And I said, nah, I'm going. Like last minute, I'm like, I'm going. I finished the painting. I'm going. I get over there. I surprised Jay with it. Freaking loves it. We kick it. It was a great night. We kick it off. We went back to Providence where we spoke for hours. We had we started a great relationship from there. The next day, Jay posts it up with a great message. I had like 2,500 followers coming after that in like a day, and then throughout the week, like it still kept going.
Yeah.
So that damn, where was it before I got into the J thing?
He was the one that like got you into, like he basically started this movement for you. He helped you out.
He was the one. Yeah, he gave me that boost, and I'm always gonna appreciate him for that. But I said before that, what was it that I was saying? This Jack Daniels is good. This Jack. Do you remember what I was saying right before the?
I have no
Because
clue.
it's what I told you earlier. I'm like, I'm gonna try to tie things in, but let me not.
Let me not forget that first.
Forget
piece.
the first where the punchline was coming. But
Besides Jay Ramirez, who else like reached out to you like, yo, do this piece for me, or?
I haven't had too many. Okay, I was gonna say it's what my biggest accomplishment
Yeah,
So my
that's
biggest
what it was.
accomplishment has been that, I'm working with mainly Latinos, man. And
Yeah.
you know what? Latinos are famous, especially Dominicans, for asking for
Favors.
no when doing business. What do Dominicans are famous for asking for usually?
Free.
For discounts.
Oh.
And I'm gonna say
That's all Spanish people.
I guess that's everybody.
I'm gonna say my biggest accomplishment, bro, is that my people reach out to me, and the first thing that they say is like, "I know you're a very busy guy." So, like, I feel like I've made this presence on Instagram with how consistent I be with my work, that I always show that I'm up to something.
Yeah.
So I'm already being appreciated by my community,
Right.
where they're looking at it, where they have me like up here, like, oh, this guy is already dealing with these artists and these stuff, and
Right.
like that is very humbling to me,
Right.
because I'm in my mind, I'm still in the grind.
Yeah.
I'm in the grind, not in my mind, but I am in the grind. But to a lot of people, they look at me like, oh, he's made it. But every day I wake up like, I want more. I'm in the grind. I'm never gonna be. I'm gonna be doing this till I go. Like
Well, that's
Picasso
the
did.
mentality you gotta
With the art,
keep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be doing this till I go, and I'm gonna keep evolving. I'm not gonna, you're not gonna look at my stuff 20 years from now, and I'm not gonna be doing the same thing.
Exactly.
It's probably gonna get to a point where I'm not gonna be doing faces no more. Where I'm gonna be doing stuff with just colors and abstract stuff, and it's still gonna be appreciated because I created this respect level
Right.
that, and I wanted to, especially for it to come from my community, bro. When I tell people my prices, to not hear people really say, "Oh, can you give me
can
a
you do it for
discount? Or
this?"
can you do
or-
it for
yeah.
this much?" Or for them to actually say, it's either in my budget, or they'll say, if it's not in their budget, they don't get mad, or they don't, what, how much? Which is usually what you'll get from people. They'll say,
Right.
it's not in my budget, but I see why it would cost this much.
Right.
You will do great work. Man, that's so humbling to me, because we get so many people speaking negatively about our people,
Right.
where they're, oh, people don't like to pay, whatever, but that's bull crap.
Right.
People do support. Our own people support.
Right.
Because it's mainly my Latino people that are supporting.
Yeah.
It's mainly Dominican people supporting me.
Right.
The support is there, but guess what it is that you have to be? First of all, you have to put out good work.
Yeah.
Right.
Put out good work. Work consistently. I'm giving the game right now to whatever it is you want to do on IG or in live, like, because I'm experiencing it. Put out good work. Be consistent, and then on top of that, look,
Right.
just be down to earth and be kind. I try to answer every DM that's sent to me. If somebody is just answering like on a quote that I put up, even if it's with an emoji, I don't do this bitch ass liking that. I think that's the most dismissive thing that's been created by in the world.
But they like it. They
No.
liked it. They're giving you the
No,
attention.
bro. Like, if you DM me, bro, and like I've had this happen to me where I could like somebody will put something and I'll go like, yo, God bless, right? And I'll write this like great message to them,
Right.
and then I just get this little like, or this little heart. I feel so offended. Like, I took time out of
Yeah.
myself. Like, and I see you always writing stuff, and I see you on Instagram. I took time to write you a nice message, and all I get is a double tap. That's so dismissive. Where you
Right.
could have just been like, thank you, and given this.
Yeah.
That makes me feel good, because it's like, you took your time to at
Yeah.
least write something. But
Right.
people are so dismissive, and people are so disconnected and so detached, and I feel like a lot of my success comes from me taking it. And Gary Vee speaks about this all the time. I love Gary Vee, where he says, who the hell are you? So when people are commenting on you, to not even go like it, to not even acknowledge people, to not even try to, if you're at Gary Vee's level, where I'm sure he gets thousands of messages daily, where you can at least pick maybe 10 DMs and answer them, and then in a mass way always thank people. If you notice, I don't know if you follow me, but you always notice that I'm always thanking people, and I never call them. Notice one thing, I never called people followers. It's a negative connotation to that word.
Right.
My IG family.
They're family,
Yeah.
and they're the ones that are, that, and that is people have a perspective of me where it's really me.
Right.
I'm very big on words and the usage of words, and I don't ever want to make anybody feel less or feel like I'm above anybody or that. Like, I'm still in the grind just like anybody
Right.
else. maybe I'm grinding even more than a lot of people that have a 9 to 5 because some people are expecting their check regardless.
Right.
I gotta get up every day, answer DMs, answer emails, put up content, make paintings, take care of my daughter, have family time, go have a relationship with my dad, go see my grandmother.
Right.
You know, make some time to go have a drink, make some time for this interview.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so like as an entrepreneur, even when things start getting easier, because things will start getting easier before they get difficult. If you don't get out of your ego, and this is one of the main things that I took back from L.A. Reid, where he was a mentor to me. He sat us down. He told us one day, the only way to be successful as a creative is to be able to take yourself out of what you create and look at it from outside with everybody else, and not fall in love with it. Because when you fall in love with it, that's when you fall in love with it, is when you start creating enemies, because any little thing triggers you and anything gets you upset. You have to be able to step out and take criticism.
Any negative comment,
But to the point, exactly.
Yeah.
But to the point where you got to filter criticism to. You have to. There's two ways of criticism. There's people that really want to help you and give you constructive criticism, and then there's people that just hate.
But if you're doing something right, where you're gonna if you have haters, then you're doing something right.
Of course.
Because
but I don't acknowledge them.
Exactly.
you can't acknowledge it though, but you're doing something right. Like when I watch our episodes, I sit there. A lot of your show's a little too long. It should be 45 minutes. I understand people's point of view, but me, like you're having a conversation right now, I don't want to cut like the person I'm interviewing when they're talking about something and it's a whole spiel and it's something that it needs to be kept in its entirety.
Right.
So that's why I don't chop it up. I do listen to everybody, but that's how I feel, and I don't like. There's celebrities that have sent messages. There's because when this started, it was a sports show.
Right.
So there's MMA fighters that have reached out to me.
No.
And I appreciate that, and I've sent them messages back.
Right.
But I don't know, man. I wake up every day and I wanna continue pushing.
Yeah, right.
And I don't feel like I'll ever be at a point where like, all right, cool, I'm done.
Before, just to piggyback over the last thing I said, so we don't extend it too much, and I just want to give I guess I'm gonna say my final message of what has given me whatever success people see, and me being able to quit my job, me being able to kind of sustain myself with this. I don't know if I mentioned, but we were talking about this before. A lot of people see it like, oh, I wish I could draw just like you. I'll just be drawing all day and I'll be making money off of it. You know what I mean? I know so many people that draw and make art, but they're not really profiting off of it too much, to the point where people are shocked that I'm actually getting as many bookings as I am, and it doesn't take away from my craft, and it doesn't take away from the skills that I've honed for years. But I'm going to tell you this much: what I'm doing right now is 25% the skills and the craft and the honing of it, and then the other 75% is social media hustle, interpersonal relationships, and how you speak to people in language, and relationships.
Right.
That's in creating relationships, maintaining relationships, and using relationships to your advantage without making people feel like they're being used.
Right.
Those are all skills that are needed in anything that you get into, because there's a lot of people that they'll need something so we haven't spoken in years, right? And I know that you have something that I need, and we haven't spoken in years. The way I would approach it is, if I need this in a month, I'll start reaching out to you, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? Let's catch up, let's go have a drink, whatever. And I won't even speak to you about what I need yet.
Right.
I'll try to catch up. I'll try to, look at your page and answer little things here or whatever. So even though we don't have to have full-blown conversations, I'm interacting and engaging with your content on Instagram. Instagram is making so easy to make relationships with people without even seeing them in person.
And sustain them too.
So all you have to do is, genuinely though, react to what they post. If you see them posting them having success in something or whatever, react to that.
Right.
You know, send energy, send good energy, whatever. And then later on, when I come to Rick a month later, hey Rick, this, and that. Rick is not gonna take it like, yo, I haven't spoken to you in years, and now you need something from me.
Right.
No, we've been interacting for a certain amount of time already, and we've been putting out energies to each other where it's just gonna be natural for me to then. But that doesn't mean that afterwards I'm going to drop Rick, and after I use it, no, I'm gonna maintain this because you never burn bridges.
Right.
Never burn bridges. I wish there was more bridges in and out of Manhattan, so we don't have as much, you know, traffic. Everybody trying to cross the same bridge.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when you seen anybody out there, and that's for anybody that may need this, if you seen anybody out there and you're trying to get your stuff off the ground and you feel like it's not gonna, you have to understand that people are not doing this from one day to the other, and people are not just doing this using the same blueprint that everybody uses. Everybody has their own blueprint, but it's always about consistency, and it's always about relationships. You don't have to go out and, like how people say, you know, kiss ass.
Right.
There's a thin line between kissing ass and
having
having a good relationship with somebody.
Yeah.
You know, and bigging people up for what they're doing.
Yeah.
There's a very thin line with that, where you do it gracefully, where people respect you because
You're being
you're
genuine.
just being genuine.
Yeah.
Because people can pick up right away when you're
Uh-huh.
just kissing ass.
Yeah.
You know? So when you're being genuine, win the relationships, and just being consistent in everything. Like, consistency is everything. And I wish we would have spoke about the Romeo story, how I got the stuff to Romeo, to that.
I mean, we could do 6-part episodes.
Yeah, we can talk about it later, because, you know, like,
But
but
every
I want
guest
people to...
I've had on the show. My bad to cut you
Let's
off.
come back.
That I've had on the show, there's a few people I didn't even, like Mr. Norayo, I never knew that guy. But me and him, we talk regularly, back and forth, because of IG. You know, like, when I had him on the show, I told him, you know, you're on the show, but I before you came on the show, I was supporting what you was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know the mayor, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
I support him, and every time we're doing something, I always hit him up. M-Class, or that boy Lucky to the audience, that dude, he's like one of the best guests I've had. Because Mike was like, yo, whatever you need, I got you. But me and him, we've always had that relationship.
Right.
But I've always maintained my relationship with every guest. Because eventually, I would like to have the guests on.
Of course.
Again.
Of course.
Yeah, seeing, especially like, oh, you know, we spoke a year ago loud. Now, let's say like after I have my show, after maybe what I'm projecting and putting out now, where I want to be, where it's like, I don't want to be doing that many commissions. I want to be creating my own things, and people, you know, buying that, or going from charging this much to like, oh, now DeX is really like out there, like doing, you know, product placement with, like how I just saw this one artist that I've been following for a minute, like this dude's doing stuff with Lexus and doing stuff with Bloomingdale's, and like this guy's selling out paintings for $25,000, you know, and I've seen these people do it in a matter of 5 years. So I don't look at it like in a hating way. I look at it in a motivating way, like it's possible.
Right.
You know, that's how I look at things. I admire people that make something out of nothing, because I feel like that's what I'm doing. Like, there's really no clear blueprint for what I'm doing. There's people that have done certain things, but I feel like coming from where we come from, you don't really hear about this. Like, you don't really
There
see.
isn't a path like you could take, like, oh,
We're paving the road right
yeah.
now.
So
We're paving the road. Like, and I've realized, and I've noticed that, you know, after I've gotten mainly, you know, the reposts from like the artists and whatnot, I've noticed that there's been a lot more people coming through and like really taking their art more serious. You know, that before it was just like, oh, it's just like a hobby, but now I feel like my mission is starting, which is, you know, the whole kind of motivating people. And, you know, there's so many different ways I want to take this. Like I said, I'm gonna get back to the music. I feel like I have, compared to what I was doing, the type of music I was doing 2 years ago, where I was just trying to please people with what they wanted to hear, because everybody was in my ears. Now you need to make more music like Amaralenta, club music, strip club music, all this stuff.
Right.
Now, my mind is now, I want to motivate people in a positive way, but at the same time, you know, still keeping it you know, still keeping it like relevant, where it's still cool to hear, but it's you know, the message is still there.
Right.
So now I feel like I'm excited for what I'm gonna do with music now, especially, you know, my Spanish stuff. Like I want to go in that J. Cole and like J. Cole route, but in Spanish. You don't. A lot of people are telling me like, yeah, that's not gonna work, and I'm like, I don't care. I'm right now.
I think there's a market for it, and I think it could work.
I think there's a market for anything as long as
anything that's real and
put it out.
authentic, and people could relate to it.
As long as you put it out, bro, like you're never gonna know what works unless you do it, because nobody else is. The thing is that everything is a follower market. Like trap got high. I remember them telling me that right before trap took off. I remember people from Universal. I was playing my trap records for people, and they were telling me, "Oh, that's never gonna do good. That's never gonna take off with Latinos because that sound is the African American sound. That's not very Latino, whatever." And I was like, "You wait and see." And a year later, Bad Bunny came out.
Right. So
I could talk right now, like, yo, I want to do records where my performances is gonna be with a band. That's what I want. I want to be. There's so many more different. I have, you know, I grew up like we spoke earlier in a musical house, and I used to play keys and like Chris, you know, my partner at that point in time with the Gambinos. He's a musician, so always been around musicians.
Too. Shout out to Chris and his new group.
Always been. Shout outs to him. Always been in a lot of musicians. Like my sister's a musician, my brother, and what you can do with a band versus what you can do with just a DJ is so much different. The show is so much different, and you can engage the crowd so much differently. Like one of the last shows that I did was with a band, and like we took a song that was 3.5 minutes and we stretched it to like 8 minutes during that set. And the whole time, I'll show you guys the video. The whole time, the crowd is with us. This is a song they'd never heard before, but they loved it because of what we did, like the solos, what we did with the music, how we interacted with the crowd. So imagine being able to put a show together, because the records go with a band, because when trap records are kind of difficult to do with a band. But when you have soulful hip hop songs, like the type of music that J. Cole does.
Jay-Z's Unplugged album, which is one of my favorite of all time.
I was listening to that the other day. It's just different, bro. So that's and it's stuck in my mind because I had a music meeting with Johnny Marines when I first met him, and I showed him that video, and he watched the whole 8 minutes in his office, and then he told me, out of all the records he heard, he was like, "Look, I like all the records, but if you find your lane with this, and going out there with a band and doing this, boy, like I will come out and watch this. Like I would love this, because there's nobody doing it." And I've had so many people tell me, like, out of my, you know, I've been playing on my records that are like soulful, which are the records that I started doing before Cámara Lenta, and people have told me, kind of like, you should, like, I've never heard anybody rap in Spanish like this, right? Because you sound like an American dude, like your rhyme schemes are not your conventional Latino rhyme schemes. Like the way that I play with words is like how, you know, Jay-Z plays with words, Nas, J. Cole, Drake, Kanye play with words. Right. There's different rhyme schemes and flows. So I feel like I have that, and not too many people have it. Jeff was telling me that shit the other day. I don't hear anybody like you spitting in Spanish, and I've had it so many people. So, like I said, I went to the art off of necessity, but now I feel like the art has given me kind of like a base, has given me kind of credibility almost, because I feel like if people look at my art, they're not going to judge me right away. Oh, his music. Now they're like, if he's that, I had a lot of people tell me, if your music is as good as your art, I'm all for it. So people are not right away thinking this guy's whack, because it's like, no, wait, he's actually nice with the art. He might be good with the music too. Right. Let's wait and see. Right. And there was another painter that I remember seeing that he ended up being a terrible artist, but he, off bat, like, I gave his music a chance because I liked his art. Yeah. Ended up being wrong, but like, but I gave his music a chance because I'm like, I saw how swag he was with his art and all this other stuff and his following, so I went, like, you know, to listen, and I'm like, damn, back to the art, you know. But in summation, like what's next for me is just trying to find a medium where I can do.
See how you stole my question?
Oh, my
What
bad.
was next for you? He stole my question.
My bad. I didn't even look at it.
And all the questions, bro. Like, go
My bad.
Just go ahead.
My bad. And you sent me these questions in December. I didn't even look at them again. Like I haven't seen them since you sent them to me initially. But like I was saying, like what's next is me doing this show in Uptown. The one show in Uptown. Uptown has shaped me. My relationships in Uptown. I love Uptown, and I'm gonna make it like super. Like everybody's expecting it to be in an art gallery, but you know it's gonna be like art gallery type of shit. But I'm gonna have like an installation with hookahs. I'm gonna have an installation with go-go dancers, expressive dance, whatever I want to sit.
The culture.
Exactly. I want to bring some people and show them this is the culture of Uptown, and this is how fine arts and my culture where I come from can coexist.
Right.
I don't want to get on no bougie shit and be like, oh, I'm going to Brooklyn to do my art show. I'm going to Soho to do my art show. I'm not from Soho. I never hung out in Soho.
Right.
You know, I only went to Brooklyn because I used to have a girl out there. You know what I mean? Like,
it's
no,
always a girl.
No disrespect to Brooklyn, but Uptown we blend with the Bronx.
Yeah.
Brooklyn blends with Soho, Queens. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like, and that's just how it is. I'm just a genuine person. I'm not gonna go out my way to do something in Soho if I'm not doing it first where I'm from.
Right.
You feel me? Like I feel like you always touch your hood first. After I touch my hood, bro, we out. Then nobody can ever going to say.
You can ask my brother. You never met my boy Paulie B and Craze Boogie. When we started doing the show, I was like, I need to get accepted and loved and followed. I don't want to say the word followed, but supported by Washington Heights and Uptown.
Exactly.
If I'm able to get support from where I'm from, then we could go somewhere else.
Right.
But I needed to start at home base.
We're gonna do this art show here. We're gonna make that shit ghetto, not get uptown chic, as uptown chic as you can get. Popping bottles, the hookah installation. Like it's gonna be an art installation hookah, but you'll be able to smoke the hookah. But it's gonna be something dope. And the go-go dancers. And we're gonna have the bottle. Like I already spoke to the bottle hosts that I know. Shorty said, "Hey, I'm bringing all my girls. You let me know when it's at."
Right.
So it's gonna be visually a very nice show. And so you're gonna get all that from. You're gonna get the artists coming out. You're gonna get the media influencers coming out. It's gonna be pretty. It's gonna be really really dope. You know, I see it in my head. Like right now as I'm talking, like I'm walking the room right now, and I have already like the pieces that I want to do. I just want to touch my hood first. After I do that in my hood, when I went to this art gallery downtown, and I asked them how do I get into this gallery, and they gave me the breakdown, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna invite these people out to my show uptown, and they're gonna be like, what the hell? Where the hell are we? You know, ain't no hors d'oeuvres here. You know, maybe go smoke some hookah, guy. Go try that. You know, go try the. You know, hopefully we get this brand on board that I can't really talk about. This liquor brand. We definitely more than likely gonna do with my man Miguel Plaza, the Wahai group, or Wahai group. We're gonna do it in his new location, 10th Avenue.
10th Avenue, yeah.
That's where we're gonna do it. Miguel's gonna be my partner in this. Like he's shown me so much support and so much love, which. You know, he doesn't really have to, but that's what I'm talking about, like, sticking with Uptown. Like, Miguel has seen me grow from doing the music, from doing, like, promotions with him and for, like, one-off shows. And now, like, to see what I'm doing in art and getting the love from people like him that are, you know, I'll tell you in, like, less than 5 years, Maze is going to be one of the most prominent businessmen up there. You know, to have him already be so passionate about helping me to put this together and not wanting anything in return. You know, that's amazing to me. So that's what's next. If I can blend that with an album, and during my art show have a band there
and do a
performance,
maybe.
This he's intelligent. He's very smart, and he has vision. Just like as well, we used to always sit down and have. We have to sit down and have more of these conversations. But that's one of I want to take that show on the road. Imagine this, a freaking art show. And the guy that painted then has this dope ass music, and you come in and like for an hour he's with a band, and then he's explaining to you the whole process through his music, and the art in the back.
Right.
You know? And I'm already talking like it's coming fluently in my music, where it's like, si yo no me pego voy a seguir yo de Picasso. Papi ya me caso, estoy más que un retrato, con brocho con micrófono, me voy a buscar el mazo. You feel me? So like, it's already flowing out of me to talk about what I'm doing, because that's just how I've always been. Like I've always had to somehow, like sometimes like I can exaggerate certain things, but I can't really step out of the realm of what I feel I'm capable of doing, done, or will do, or what I'm visualizing for myself. I'm never gonna say like I'm gonna get on a jet and fly type shit unless I tie it back to like, I was high while I was saying that. Yeah. Like I'm not gonna ever step out of my realm of what I feel or what I feel I stand for. With art, whatever artist I paint, unless the artist directly came and told me to paint them. But if I'm gonna paint Michael Jackson, understand that I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan and we could get into it with it. Right. If I'm gonna paint the Beatles, I'm not gonna paint it on some culture vulture shit because the Beatles is cool to paint. No, let's talk about the Beatles. I grew up on the Beatles. Right. You feel me? Let's talk about the Blue Album. Let's talk about the Help Album. Let's talk about Top Tens. Let's talk about Ringo, Paul. You feel me? George. Right. John. Let's talk about that. You feel me? Yeah. Let's talk about the history. You feel me? Like Jay-Z tried to pull my card one time. I remember I walked in to one of the meetings with Let It Be shirt with the Beatles on it. He's like, what you know about that? And I said, what you know about that? What's up? You want to ask me some questions? And he's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, yeah, because I know a lot of people out here wearing artists, and they're not really.
It's like when people were wearing the Che Guevara shirts.
They didn't know who he was.
They don't know who he is.
This is cool. So, what's next, man? We're gonna do this art show. We're gonna do this music. We're gonna put on for Uptown, and then I'm out of here, man. We're gonna take this to Milan. LA. We're gonna take this to LA, Paris. We definitely, Spain. You guys are invited. Definitely. Last year, I don't know if you saw. Last year, I went to Art Basel. Greatest experience of my life.
Oh, Miami. I was.
In December.
In December, yeah. I was just down there, but I was going on a cruise.
You have to come
when it was happening down there. So
even if it's, listen, Art Basel, I'm doing a show in Miami, and I want us, whoever's down, like I want people to come. We're rolling deep, man. We're driving down. I want a whole caravan of people driving down with me. Like we're going down to Miami, 100%. We're going deep, and we there for the week, bro. It's an amazing experience.
I went and I wanted to go. Like I didn't know what that was. I learned this year what it was, and then I saw through Instagram and I saw postings. So.
Amazing experience, bro. I loved it so much. It was just so much art everywhere, so much inspiration, more than anything. And I was like, wow, this is one of the best trips I've ever had. And I took the risk of taking some time off from Christmas orders, falling behind and everything. But I'm like, I don't care. I need to go to Art Basel. I need to get inspired by this. And I'm like, this time next year, I'm gonna have my own thing here.
Speak it into existence, man.
Yes,
so
sir.
Thanks for spending some time and allowing us in your mind, because that's basically what you are when you're in an artist studio. Tomorrow we'll be in the Monkey Room, actually, doing another interview with Andy Diaza. He works in the creative industry. He did a short film on the first openly gay ballet dancer. He works for a huge advertising firm. So we'll be there tomorrow, recording the episode live.
Thank you for having me, guys. This was great. I used to get a lot off my chest. My man, Rick.
Hold on.
Get your paper, I'm from money making Manhattan. So what you think that I'm packing? To protect mine, I keep it on my lap and drive slow like the turtle, straight relaxing. Ain't no acting, we selling out caskets. 2 for 1, I shoot the one, ain't no scrapping. Got more money than the city that I'm repping. How? Where I'm from, New York, Got more dough than that pizza shop you order from. Which one? Domino's. Get your paper up, go and get your paper up. Get your paper up, go and get your paper up. Get your paper up, go and get your paper up. Go and get your paper up. Get your paper up. Get your paper up, go and forward, no run around. I'm going straight forward, I ain't backing down. Mi casa ain't your casa, so get out of town. Y'all say y'all making noise, but I don't hear a sound.